How's everyone doing today? Shankar Puri here. Today, we're going to talk about the Bitcoin price and the rest of the market and see where we're heading. Also, at the end of this video, we're going to take a look at a trade so you guys can see how you can profit in this market no matter if we're going up or down. Without further ado, 1 second. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor. All this information is for entertainment purposes only. Now, without further ado, let's dive right into the charts. Alright guys, first I wanted to bring up the fear and greed index. So we've talked about this a little bit. Prices have definitely come down on Bitcoin. Fear is at I think it's an all-time low, one of the all-time lows right now. So based on the fear and greed index, when it gets to these levels, it's definitely an opportunity to buy. Not to say that this is the time to buy, but when the fear and greed index is this low, normally there is some potential for us to buy. Now, mind you, as we talked yesterday, I did not see any indicators that I use, at least, to show us that we're going to have a massive rally out of nowhere. I do not see that coming. Tomorrow or the next day, we could have a bounce, but I don't think it's going to be any type of reversal. All right, so I wanted to take a look at this rainbow price. Also, fear and greed index. I want you guys to also remember, fear and greed index right now is also different of the fear and greed index over here in 2020, and also especially when it was at the lows here in 2021. What's going on right now is we have a lot of liquidations going on. You have Three Arrows Capital rumored to be being liquidated. You have Celsius that's rumored to be going bankrupt, and Lunaterra last month. And a lot of these cryptocurrencies come and go, these companies, normally within the cycle, but Three Arrows Capital has been around since 2012. So it's been around for just under a decade, or about a decade. So to see that company go under, is, I think, a bigger deal than a cryptocurrency that's been around for 2 years and then goes bankrupt. You see that all the time. But yeah, just to show, these VC firms are not, they're not God, man. We don't have to treat them like whatever they do is correct, because they're susceptible to the same human emotions that we are, right? They make mistakes as well, and they also operate out of a place of probability, just like every other participant that's seriously partaking in the market, right? So just want to point that out there for you guys. So yeah, here we can look at the rainbow chart. So normally the lower we are on the band is a place to purchase. So now we're getting closer. We're not quite at the bottom yet, but this is an indicator you may want to look at. But mind you, all these indicators that I'm showing you have been in a time of a bull market. So these indicators, the validity of them may not be sustained if we go through a full, bear market throughout, the US economy and a recession. So these may not actually hold as much weight because the circumstances that we're at is completely different. The last 12 years has been a bull market. Bitcoin was created, pretty much in the recession at the beginning of a decade-long plus a bull market. So you got to keep in mind that these indicators are all bull market indicators. So, you got to take these things with a grain of salt. But we could look at this and, hey, if these models are correct, then it could be a time to purchase. And again, with the logarithmic growth curve, so we're underneath it, just like how we were underneath it during the we had the black swan in 2020 over here. So we're underneath it, so we could maybe see a snap back up. But like I said, the indicators that I see on the chart aren't showing that we're gonna have a reversal. We could, maybe have something like this in 2018 and pull up and kind of just consolidate. But I do not see us making higher highs or grandiose explosions that are just gonna maintain for months on end. So it's just the reality, and that's what we got to play with. So, all right, guys, I just want to show you this net realized profit and loss. So today is the largest day of net realized losses of over 4.3 billion in the cryptocurrency market for Bitcoin. So you can see here, down here, yeah, so net realized loss, you can see, yeah, so it's about just under 5 billion. So that's kind of the biggest loss. So, you know, hodling works, it definitely works, but understanding and learning how to trade the market, you may save yourself from these losses, because Bitcoin is such a volatile asset. You know, it's just crazy. It's amazing though. Use it as your friend. So here, I would just want to show you guys this. So like I said, it could be a great buying opportunity for Bitcoin, because never in history have we broken down from the previous highs that we made in the previous cycle. Being cognizant as well that we've been in the same bull cycle for the past decade, so you got to keep that in mind. But so two things, there's the majority, I believe this may be the majority, are buying in this area now, starting to buy, accumulating, saying this will not go lower. And I think that is a lot of the majority, and that could be right. We could just be, you know, consolidating, and that's definitely a probability. Now, a possibility could be we have stacked buyers here, so we're getting this pump, we're getting this volume coming in, and stop losses here. So if you have stop losses here, and it may be many stop losses, because you may have a large amount of buyers in this zone right here. So if the price comes down, here, let me just clean this up for you guys. So we have the buyers layering in their buys, putting in stop losses right here, you know. If we have the price come down and hit stops, we could have a cascading of price, which is definitely a possibility. So, and all leverage, you know, it would even cascade down more, because this does look like an obvious purchasing opportunity, does it not? Of course. It looks like, oh, okay, previous high, okay, support, we got some support here, right? Okay, let's see if we draw some trend lines. Let me draw some trend lines here. See, oh, well, no, it doesn't really line up. I was hoping it would line up for you guys. I guess we got a trend line that comes all the way down here at 817. I was hoping it'd line up for you guys. Let's see what we got over here. Anything that lines up? No. It's close. Yeah, so yeah, none of those trend line actually line up. But yeah, so we have this support right here. So that would be, you know, the most obvious place to stack a buy. Just looking at it, would hold, you know. So just keep that in mind. If you are, just layer in the buys, because if we do break this, because anything can happen in the market, we hit stop loss, a lot of stop losses break right through, boom, cascading, you lose your money, or you don't lose your money, someone took your money, remember that. So just want to talk about that, as well as looking at the TLT here. So I was speaking on the TLT a while back, so, and about the bullish divergence that was forming on the TLT. So we had this bullish divergence here. Let me just get this out of the way for you guys. Boom. We have this bullish divergence playing out. So I did mention this in a couple months back in the video, and the, you know, TLT has definitely been coming down. So this is the treasury bonds. Normally when the treasury bonds go up, high risk assets tend to decline, right? So for this was April 2020, TLT took a dump all the way down here. Assets were flying. Assets were flying. Assets were not flying as much over here. But when we do reverse, and I'll bring up the Bitcoin price for you guys. So you can see at the beginning of this run right here, so when the TLT caught a double bottom, so we have a double bottom right here, 1, 2, double bottom, the TLT declined and the Bitcoin price inclined, took off, rocketed. We were going to the moon. Dreams are being made and being sold at the same time. So, being cognizant of that, you have the TLT, and you can see actually it was inversely correlated over here, but it started to actually have some more correlation over here. If you look, so as it was going down, so was Bitcoin. So I was actually anticipating as it was going down, Bitcoin price would increase, but that wasn't the case. But when we went down over here for the short period of time, the Bitcoin price did increase, and then inversely correlated, and then it became a bit more correlated. But normally, well, when bond yields are increasing, people are tending to go risk off. And that's an indication when the TLT starts turning around that investors are going risk off. And yes, Bitcoin, I believe, is the future. But we are trying to capitalize and find the edge in this market to see, to make profit, right? So yeah, we don't want to be caught holding the bag. And if you're new, like everyone is at some point, you probably will get caught holding the bag at some point, which is okay, because you're bad before you get good, and that's just the way life works. All right, so we want to look today again at the S&P 500. I indicated this trend line for you guys and showed we had a bullish divergence. Well, it was a bullish divergence. It's not a bullish divergence on the break, so we broke this trend line. So I did also indicate we had this resistance zone here, and we completely flush, broke underneath. So tomorrow we could have a bearish retest further down, or we can break back in to the downward sloping trend line and head higher. So just be careful for tomorrow, as we just broke down, and let's see what levels we have to play with right now. So we got a level right here. Got a level right here. We got levels right here. So we got a couple levels that we're looking at on the way down, and zones. You can play this as a zone. So, we're currently at a zone right now, a support zone. So you can see we got a reaction. The candle kind of pushed up a bit. So we can see tomorrow, maybe we'll have a rally, but just be cognizant of this trend line. All right. Okay. So for what you guys have been waiting for is the trade of the day, what we did, how we saw it. We gonna break it down for you, and why I took my profit, why I set my stop loss, all that good stuff. So okay, guys. Okay, so first off, let's go on to the daily time frame. So at the moment, Bitcoin's price, we're having lower highs and lower lows. So we're trading with the market. So most of my trades, I'm looking for shorts, and actually looking at my stats, 0% of my long trades have worked out, and 70% of my short trades have worked out. So I guess we are in a bear market. All right. So first off, what we want to look at, what I look at is I look for divergence. So I see a lot of bearish divergence. So we go on the 4-hour. Even though, guys, the RSI is oversold, we look here, we see that we have this double top pattern here, but we have bearish divergence, small bearish divergence there. Or yeah, we have a bearish divergence. So kind of like a double top, or a lower high. And we have this bearish divergence on the daily. So we look at that and say, okay, trend is coming down. We look here, and actually we see another divergence. So we see a divergence from here. So we see this double top, see a divergence, bearish divergence here. I could also see one. Yep, so we see it right here. So now I'm looking for an entry. So I see the divergence. I see that we have a support zone, a support zone, a support zone, and we have a resistance, and a daily support zone down here. So I'm looking for entries. So what I looked for on this trade really was, I was looking for a support on the 15-minute, on the 1 hour time frame. So I have it labeled all here on the side, so you can see we have a support here, resistance here. So I was looking for to take a short on a bearish test. So what we looked at was, when I zoomed in on the 15-minute, I saw this trend line, and I saw the price action break underneath the trend line. So what I did was I took a short, and we shorted it, and we were correct. We were correct today, guys. I took one trade today, and it was a nice trade. Yeah, so that's really what I did. I took profits. I took 25% here on this 1 hour time frame trend line. Took 25% here. I actually took the rest of my trade here. I didn't wait for it to go all the way down here, which I definitely should have. It's crazy how it reversed right where I put it, but it's really not that crazy because there's just a support zone right here before the daily. So this is how you can kind of trade. You know, a lot, maybe right now breakouts aren't working. You can trade the range, support and resistance, look for some type of divergence. I do use sometimes moving averages, not to mainly get in, but just to confirm that the trend is still going in my direction. And today, fortunately, we were able to cash out some profit. So now I can pay for my light bill. All right, so that's really it, guys. Simple strategy. I put my stop loss above here, mainly because we have some support, some resistance. We have resistance. I put it above the sloping trend line. So if we broke through all of this, and if actually I entered on this candle here, and the reason why I entered on this candle, it was 9:31 is when I entered, and at 9:31 the S&P actually made this red this gap down. So normally I don't enter that quick into a trade on open, but because I saw that Bitcoin reacts slightly later than the S&P, so I saw that drop and I knew that it was going to react shortly after. Oops, what the hell? So yeah, so that's why I entered on this candle. Just actually, as soon as I saw a break, I entered it. But you could have entered on this retest here. This bearish retest would have been a better entry. You would have had no drawdown, and I had a little bit of drawdown, but I was calm and I was fine because I had my invalidation points. If we broke out here and I had volume, high probability I would have been wrong. So I may have even closed before we got to my stop loss. But if the price got to my stop loss, high probability that I was incorrect on this trade. So I was okay risking that amount, seeing my confirmation, seeing my confluence on different time frames, and seeing the S&P drop, high probability for me that I saw. So we entered it, no hesitation, got in, got out, took some profit, and just blessed that the markets allowed me to make some money today. So without further ado, guys, that was a breakdown. I'll be doing some breakdowns weekly. We get better at it. Comment, constructive criticism is always important. And without further ado, enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you so much for watching.